Hi, I'm back again with modified SSTO this time. So I added these side docking ports, which will be helpful on our current mission, and that is going to Duna and coming back. And as I mentioned before, this can go to Duna, but it's impossible to come back with it because it doesn't have enough fuel for that. But now in 102 or in 1.0 already, we have resources, so minerals and yeah, we can manufacture our fuel there, just as in my previous video where I did Duna Direct. I can do something similar with a space plane, but unfortunately it's not enough in itself, so we need another vehicle that I named the refuel bug, because it looks like a bug, especially when the drills are extracting ore from the ground, because it looks like a bug with 6 legs. So going up is the usual what I did. I will have around 1200 meters per second of delta V remaining, and 1100 is enough for Duna. I lose somewhat because of the nuclear engine, so it's a very long burn, and because that means that I'm moving past the injection point on orbit. I lose some delta V, but it is enough anyway. We will not need a lot. Thanks to the air brakes on this space plane, it is possible to do a very high atmospheric aero capture and regulate speed loss by the air brakes. So this makes it possible to do a landing with very little fuel. Another craft is already waiting there in orbit of Duna. I got it there fair and square, but I just shot it back in time, so it's already there. I didn't want to do this dual piloting stunt I did with the Duna Direct mission, because that was quite hard to do, and honestly this one is even harder than that one, because I not only need a precise landing but also a docking in the gravity on the surface, so that's not easy. On min-mass it would be quite okay. So the top docking port can be used on min-mass, for example, or for other reasons, docking to a space station or whatever. But for this specific mission, the side docking ports have to be used. So this is a landing, and it is much easier than it was previously. I mean, with a space plane, because there is a decent amount of lift in this atmosphere now, and also these air brakes are very useful. So these engines pointing downwards are not really necessary anymore, but they are useful, for example at the docking, because they can help to align the two crafts to make a docking, and also it's good in case there is something wrong with the landing. So for example a dune is coming up and we have to go over it. It's possible to land with wings only this time, so I do it here and just use a little bit of the engines, but it's not really necessary. So that was it, and now I'm just looking for a nice spot to stop, which is almost horizontal, but it's good that if it's sloped in the side direction, and we will see why. For the top docking port you would need a completely horizontal surface, but for the side docking ports a little bit of a slope is actually good. So I got Jeb out and planted the flag, but the star of this mission is actually not Jeb but Bill, because Bill makes this well, not possible, but easier to do. A lot easier actually. So let's see our other craft which is in orbit and waiting for us. And that so I cheated it back in time that it's here already, but otherwise I got here with it completely normally. And here it is with these huge solar cells. Those are actually not needed for its normal operation, but for the it's just for the resource mining, because that and also this what's its name, in situ resource unit, resource converter unit, also takes a lot of power. So I set up this maneuver node based on my previous tests of the atmosphere of Duna, which now I'm quite familiar with it. Now I hope they won't change it this time in 103. And this way I could make a very good landing, almost as good as if I had done it on Kerbin. The difference is that there is no fixed point here now, so no, I had to make a target of the space plane. There was some problem here, and the panels didn't want to fold, and that was not the only problem. We'll see later. I didn't want to select as a target the space plane because previously the game crashed on me several times when I tried it. So also the air brakes were not working as they should have, so I had to trigger them manually. Those are the legs. Those were working. So the point here is just to lose this stage somewhat before we are above our target, and we still have some speed. I turn on air brake to help it separate. Just a little bit of free fall, and I'm close. I could activate the parachutes. Actually, it's possible to land with these parachutes, but because I want to move later on, that part almost hit the space plane. I was quite scared that it would hit it, but it didn't, fortunately. So I want to move later. I don't want to carry the parachutes later, so I just lose them just before landing and land with these monopropellant engines. Those are the parachutes. At time acceleration clears them somehow. They didn't even land. So once I'm there, I can do the resource extracting because I do not have fuel. These fuel tanks are empty, and now it looks like a bug with wings and 6 legs. The thing is, these solar cells rotate and follow the sun, but why is it that I still get a variable power input from them? It shouldn't be like that. Of course, yes, the air or the atmosphere scatters some of the light from the sun, but it shouldn't be so. So it's filled and it's ready for action. I want to go closer. It's not that easy. It's like flying a helicopter, somewhat at least, and I know that I'm very bad at it, but playing KSP helps me flying helicopters. I know that I'm better in it now, in simulators, of course, as I used to be. The trick here is that without the ground, we can use the RCS for the top docking port, but with the ground here there is this gentle slope in it, and it can help us guide this bug, this refuel bug, to the docking port, because it's just sloped towards the plane. With partial thrust I can make a successful docking, and this was the hard part actually. This and the previous precise landing, actually that was the most precise landing I could do as of yet on Duna. And I thought everything is okay until I heard something. Then I came out of time acceleration, it exploded, I don't know why. So this was a bug actually, so I reloaded. This was not my fault, really. And this was not the last problem. So I have to fill the tanks again. But it goes faster because Bill is here and he's an engineer. So it was quite fast, much faster than previously, even though the fuel was a lot more. And now, once the fuel tanks are full, we just need to separate these two somehow, that I can get a safe distance from them. And one way to do is to activate the legs again, but that breaks them. So Bill is here again to fix them, because this is a usable device here, and it can be used for later missions. It will be stuck here because it doesn't have enough delta V to leave Duna, but it can move around, and practically with infinite delta V. It cannot move a lot in one step. It will consume its fuel quite fast, but it can move several kilometers, so it is possible to get to some other craft which is stranded here. So this is actually without any propulsion, just using the slope which is here, so I can make a getaway from this refuel bug. So once everything is fine, I just had to wait until I get to my launch window. Maybe it was not necessary because we will see that this has a lot of delta V left. Only problem is the thrust to weight ratio. So for initial thrust I used the nuclear engine and then activated the chemical engines, and these are used to create a parabolic arc so that the nuclear engine will have time to accelerate me to orbit, and it will take a lot of time. The engines are out, so that was it. The oxidizer is no more. I used it completely, but I still have the monopropellant engines, and those can also help me a little bit. And it's better to use it up because otherwise it's just a mess I have to carry around, and these are not very efficient engines. So I use those up, and only the nuclear engine is remaining. And it seems that there will not be a lot of delta V left in this, around 900 meters per second. That is enough to get back to Kerbin, maybe even to circularize and make a pinpoint landing at the space center. But there is a lot of fuel left in these other tanks which are not accessible. So I am above 1300 at this point, so that is a lot. I have more than 600 remaining once I get back to Kerbin, and that is more than enough. It's a very huge safety margin. And now there was another problem. I couldn't make a maneuver node. It didn't appear. I tried it several times, so I had to do manual adjustments, and of course because of that I had a huge remaining inclination. Well, huge, a few degrees, but it would have been better without that. But I didn't have the point where to burn, and yeah, it was not really good. And because of that I got fed up with this, and I said, okay, I will not circularize, I will land at the space center because it's just at the right position now. I knew that it will get really hot here because it's a very steep descent. But I had the air brakes, and it almost went perfectly, almost. It's upside down, so it doesn't glide upwards. This way, with the air brakes out, it will glide downwards. This is also a trick because this way you can regulate your up or down speed. You can see that the engines are getting hot, and one exploded, and that was the problem. This was entirely my fault. because I was too reckless with this. But that was the only problem. With the 3 remaining engines, I deactivated one, so I had 2 remaining engines. I just had to fly, and I saw in the map that I'm somewhat east from the space center, but I didn't find it for a while. I realized that I'm also somewhat south, and once I got that, it was easy to find this find the lights of the space center, and there it is already, so I can fly towards it. I thought the wings will explode as they usually do with the collision bug that the game thinks that I collided with one of the buildings and the wings explode. Actually, it's possible to land without the wings, and there's a lot of lift on this. But getting back at this point is quite easy. So just an approach with partial thrust. I had a lot of delta V remaining. It was somewhat hard to control, and yeah, but I made it. There's a missing engine. Entirely my fault. Could have been better. Everything else is fine. Thanks for watching. Bye.